Teaching English to visually impaired students, an analysis of teacher problems. Author is Tani Manzulina, Dian Erdina, Muhammad Halandia, Kasih Harto, Heriza, Rizky Dwi Amrina, and Natalia. In Indonesia, English is intended to be one of the compulsory subjects in junior high school, senior high school, and universities. It is widely known that English is important for the most common reason that English is a global or international language. By mastering English, the student might improve their communication skill, widen their opportunities to study from various sources, and pursue their future studies and careers. Stated in teaching English as a foreign language or EFL, teachers as the facilitator of student learning take a variety of roles within the classroom. I said a challenging task for teacher, especially to visually impaired student. Teacher is an essential source of strength in the learning process of students with visual impairments. Emily and James state that teachers of students with visual impairments are qualified specialist teachers who have the skill and practical experience in the field of visual impairment. Their specialized skill and experience establish them as the best qualified individuals to address the unique learning needs to visual impaired students. Additionally, Riley states that students who are visually impaired must be provided with appropriate instruction in a variety of subjects, including language, arts, science, and mathematics. To educate them in this subject effectively, they must be taught the necessary skill to enable them to learn to read and use appropriate technology to access and obtain information. Referring to studies above, it can be inferred that being visually impaired does not necessarily mean being unsuccessful language learner. Although human vision serves as a major stimulus for learning, with the assistance of teacher and technology, visually impaired students actually have potential for learning foreign language. Teaching English is in a manner that meets the special learning needs of visual impaired students might be challenging for the teacher. This phenomenon encouraged us to conduct a similar research at one special school in Palembang. Our preliminary study was carried out through informal interview with two of English teachers who taught visually impaired students at one special school in Palembang, Indonesia. They informed that they maximize the function of their eyes or even barely can use their eyes at all. It differs from the student with normal condition of eyes that learn English by what they see around them, such as color, shape, image, facial expression, and book illustration. Consequently, teaching English to visually impaired students needs expertise, enthusiasm, and seriousness of teacher. The result of the preliminary study indicate that the teacher in this special school face several problems in teaching English to visually impaired students. To this issue become the main concern of this research. Teaching English that meets the special learning needs of visual impaired students might be challenging for the teacher. This phenomenon encouraged us to conduct a research at one special school in Palembang. This research is intended to analyze the teacher problem in teaching English to visually impaired students based on teacher perspective and experience. Visually impaired student. Visually impaired is a disorder characterized by Poor visual function that cannot be repaired by refractive correction. Glasses or contact lens. Medical products are surgery. Students may require individual adaptation to instructional practice and materials in order to learn effectively. According to Further, visual impairment refers to the function of the eye and can be measured with tasks such as visual acuity, visual field, color vision, and contrast sensitivity. In addition, visual impairment manifests itself in a variety of ways, including photophobia, diplopia, contrast sensitivity, or impaired visual acuity, loss of vision, visual perception issue, visual distortion, or some combination of the aforementioned. Not all visual impairments are the same. The word visual impairment also may be used to describe as the consequence of an eye condition and disorder. In conclusion, visual impairment is a condition where a person's vision is not the same as regular as vision in regular person in general. The visually impaired should be educated in the same general way as the sight, following the same general principle. But teachers must have some teaching strategy for them. Students with low vision or those who are legally blind may need help in using residual vision more efficiently and in working with special aids and materials. Problems in teaching English to visually impaired students. Teaching English to visually impaired students requires several educational considerations to accommodate their special learning needs. Mention that there are several factors to consider that might arise problem in teaching English to visually impaired students. They are as follows: lesson plan. A lesson plan needs to be made to know what is going to be taught in the class. It is one of the important parts of the teaching and learning process. Lesson plan contains several components such as objective, material, activities, media, and assessment, and each component should be described clearly. Highlight the function of lesson plan. Lesson serves a guide for teacher to conduct a set of activities in the classroom, determine what the students will learn and how the lesson will be taught, as well as how learning will be evaluated. Time management. Time management is an inseparable element for a school organization. It is the art of arranging, scheduling, and budgeting time to achieve learning objectives. It is a process which involves the determination of needs and prioritization of tasks. It was acknowledged across the globe that time management for teachers is more important than any other professional because they are masters of the fate of future generations. Reported that time management is an important element for teacher effectiveness and school results. In fact, time management was one of the major challenges that teachers and students face at school. Found in their studies that time management point a high inconsistency between individuals' estimation of time usage, significant impacts on student performance. Therefore, teachers must manage their teaching time effectively for everything they plan to do for the class. Environmental issue of the condition of the class can affect the teacher quality in teaching and can cause problem of them. Firstly, discipline has become a core that the teacher must do it for the succession for the teaching and learning process. When dealing with discipline, the teacher needs to be comfortable with their position and of authority in class. They also need to gain respect from the student and state your expectation from their behavior in class. Absence policy, test taking, respect for other turn taking. No matter how frustrated the teacher, institution, counselor, or administrator. The problem they may rise is when the student or teacher is disgraced and through the lesson for the day. An unexpected question comes up, a technically or problem, a disrupting a student, etc. Secondly, classroom condition has significant effect on the level of language proficiency learners. Found that student and teacher interaction in the classroom as part of learning environment was regarded as important factor in promoting students' achievement. Moreover, according to Marzulina Elena Hollandia Harto, Desvita Sari Anggraini, 2021, a classroom with too many students often present some problems for the teacher. Data collection analysis. Interview and document analysis were conducted to gain in-depth information and understanding on the subject of the study. Interview involved presentation of oral verbal stimuli and recall in terms of oral verbal response. In the study, face-to-face interview with the participant were conducted. The interview consists of 26 main questions that were derived from Kucha and Samin and Brown. The aspect obtained from this source were about lesson plan, time management, and environmental issues that may influence the teacher problems in the research site. Document is data summary which provide the data in the form of word, picture, or symbol. According to Creswell, document consists of public and private record that qualitative researchers obtain about a site or participant in study, they can include newspaper, minutes or meeting, personal journals, and letters. The documents in this research were all written information dealing with English teaching and learning activities such as teacher, lesson plan, and syllabus. In analyzing data, thematic analysis was applied. In this process, we had read all transcription and started to code the data that were related to research question of this study. Establishment of trustworthiness. To obtain the trustworthiness of the data quality for this research, we use triangulation and member checking techniques. The purpose of triangulation is to increase the credibility and validity of the findings. There are 6 techniques of triangulation, namely investigator triangulation, combined level triangulation, methodological, theoretical, time triangulation, and space data collection. Interview and documentation rather than relying only on one source of data. We cross-check the information that has been found by comparing the data from interviews and documentation to enhance the validity of the data regarding the teacher problems in teaching English to visually impaired students. We use member checking to verify the accuracy of the result and interpretation. We gave back the transcribed interview data and findings to the participants to ensure that they were in agreement with the data and findings. Poor classroom condition. Another problem that the teacher encountered was the poor condition of the classroom. This was reported by the teacher called AY. She complained that there were not enough air ventilation in the classroom as she said. AI, yes, it definitely disturbed me because it's kind of smelly and hot classroom. There is not enough ventilation in the classroom. I experienced that after sport class, when the students did not change their clothes as they were supposed to. The classroom becomes so smelly. This unpleasant odor really distracts the concentration and comfort of the teacher in training. The problem had emerged because there were defects and insufficient air ventilation in the classroom. Discussion. We found that there were several problems faced by teachers in teaching English to visually impaired students at one special school in Palembang. Those consist of time management problems, student attitude and behavior problem, lack of instructional material for certain teachers had encountered time management problems due to their limited teaching hours for English lesson. This is in line with Olive and Prince. and reported that the time allocation has been a very crucial part of English learning process. Time management has an important role in teaching, especially teaching English as a foreign language for visually impaired students. In addition, Pike described that time allotment must be allocated and kept it balanced with the time and exercise that are needed in each lesson. Poor classroom condition had also become an obstacle that made the teacher experience problem to deal with. Uncomfortable classroom temperature due to insufficient air ventilation disrupt the teacher in teaching. According to Fields, ventilation were often used for classes that have a more high humidity level, and the function of the ventilation was to get rid and renew the air inside the classroom. When ventilation were not enough, the CO2 that has been built up in the class will cause humidity inside the class is trapped inside. According to Rosbash Foundation, Gallagher Herring, and Burncliffe, classroom ventilation often do not meet building standards. Although this work is considered to be important to improve indoor air quality, some literatures mention the possible effect of poor IAQ indoor air quality on students' learning achievement. They concluded that there is suggestive evidence for an association between ventilation rates and the student learning attention and academic performance. It can be said that there is a linear relationship between poorer classroom condition and lower academic achievement and vice versa. Conclusion: based on the result of the study, there were several problems that the English teacher had encountered in teaching English to visually impaired students. The main problems were associated with time management, student attitude and behavior, lack of instructional materials and equipment, and poor classroom condition. This problem needs to be overcome, or at least. Thank you.